food is going to pass down our esophagus. Make sure you guys can find that both in the throat and in the abdomen, in the abdomen. Right, 'cause the esophagus goes through the diaphragm and leads all the way to the stomach, so make sure you can find it in the abdomen too.
Right there.
All right, everybody good with that? So, next thing I want you guys to find is going to be I guess before we go any farther, make sure you guys can identify the greater omentum. I forgot we put that in here. And don't forget, go ahead and lay it where it's supposed to be, because that's how I'm probably going to pin it. Okay, remember, it covers the small intestine. It's going to connect to the inferior portion of the stomach, over to the spleen, and lay over our small intestines. Good. Your greater omentum a little bit.
Is this still greater momentum than water?
That's yeah, it's a good point. Another thing that's not directly connected to the tubing, right? So that's a protective, like, netting, if you will, a fatty netting that holds our small intestines in place. Next thing I'd like you guys to go ahead and identify is pull that small intestine up and out and make sure we can identify the mesentery. The mesentery is a system of lymphatic and blood vessels that allow us to actually digest the food into our bloodstream and get it to where it needs to go. Mesentery. Right, and for your vessels, we know we have to be able to identify the superior and inferior mesenteric arteries, which obviously you're going to take blood to get that nutrition. All right, back into the tubing where we were. So we found the esophagus in the throat, followed it all the way down inferior to the diaphragm where it's going to lead to the stomach. In order to get into the stomach, we have to go past the sphincter that if it loosens up, it gives us heartburn, so that's going to be the cardiac sphincter. Okay, find it from the outside and from the inside of the stomach. Okay, cardiac sphincter inside and out. Next, let's go ahead and do the next sphincter, and then we'll go back and do the parts of the stomach, right? Next sphincter is going to be called the pyloric sphincter. Find it inside and out, please.
Outside.
It's going into the stomach, we have a cardiac sphincter. Coming out of the stomach, we have a pyloric sphincter. Alrighty, so let's go and go over the parts of the stomach. If we look on the inside, we have these folding ridges. You guys remember what those are called? Rugae. Very good. They're called rugae. Make sure we can just know that the folds are called rugae. Okay. Now, the next thing that we need to identify are the parts of the stomach. The two easiest ones to find are the ones that are just named after the sphincter they're right next to. Okay, cardiac region is right next to the cardiac sphincter. Find that. Okay, this is called the cardiac region. And then the pylorus is the part of the stomach that leads to the pyloric sphincter. Okay, so cardiac region, pylorus. Cardiac region, pylorus.
Cardiac pylorus. Cardiac pylorus.
Alrighty, the next two portions of the stomach that we need to be able to identify are going to be the fundus and the body. Remember, the fundus is also, or we call part of the uterus the fundus, right? This is going to be like the top or the arching head. So check to the right, okay, or its left of the esophagus, that rounded region towards the outside, as you can see in our drawing over here. This is going to be called the fundus, okay? And then the big central region of the stomach is just called the body. So go ahead and find those two regions, please.
So, fundus, body. Fundus, body.
Fundus on its left. pylorus is here. Hey,
Sorry.
go ahead and jump in. Alright, very good. That's everything to do with the stomach. Now, let's go ahead and go over some accessory organs that aid in our digestion. So, just as a reference point, make sure we can find the liver. You guys should be able to find the liver by this point. Okay. And embedded in the liver, specifically on the right side, is going to be the gallbladder. This is very important for digestion for us. It's going to secrete bile salts, amongst some other things, into our duodenum. Make sure you can find the gallbladder. Any questions on gallbladder, class? No. All right. The next thing that actually does secrete digestive enzymes, and we mostly know it because it makes insulin, and you know, if you have like type 1 diabetes, your immune system will attack your teeth, blah, blah, blah. But it does have an excretory portion. This is going to be called the pancreas. Make sure you guys can go back and find the pancreas. Remember, looking through the pancreas, just take the stomach, lift it up, and it's going to be right underneath of it. It looks like a chewed bubble gum, roast beef. Sometimes it'll even run down along the duodenum, depending on the size of your pancreas in your cat. Yep, exactly.
It's right here.
Alrighty, questions on pancreas, class? Alright, so those are the two major things that are gonna give us digestive enzymes into our duodenum. Next, let's go ahead and identify the duodenum. This is the first portion of the small intestine. Okay, it's gonna be right after the pyloric sphincter, a couple inches in the cat. This is probably cut open because we were looking at worms here. Okay, now the longest section of the small intestine, this is going to be called the duodenum. This is just the jumbly portion. If I was to stick a random pin, you would say duodenum. Okay, duodenum. Now, the next portion I would like you guys to go ahead and find, we're going to jump past the ileum and find our reference point, okay? This is going to be the little dead end portion of the large intestine. This is called the cecum. So identify the cecum, and then once you find that, find the ileum and the ileocecal valve. So cecum, ileum, ileocecal valve.
Cecum. Cecum valve. There we go.
Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the pictures.
There's the inside.
Find the cecum. If you're having trouble finding the cecum, class, start at the rectum, right? So the very end of the large intestine, just drag it up until we find that little dead end portion. Up and around and down if it's still in its natural place, but I'm sure it's not by this point. Yep, this little dead end portion. You can use this little fatty tissue and make it stick out a little more, but you don't need to. Right, so this is going to be ileum, this entire section here.
Cecum is the valve.
You're welcome.
Just because you're the only one that has a milk cat, I want to make sure I got that.
Did you put on the Facebook?
I normally always post there and then like.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and go over the portions of the large intestine. I'm going to tell you straight up, we will not be pinning transverse colon. Okay, so the part that's going to be close to the cecum is going to be the ascending colon, right? If it was sitting in its natural spot, which again we've taken its intestines and flipped them every which way, so they get a little jumbled. But ascending would be on the right side, and then it would go across, that's transverse, and then down is descending colon. The very end that we can see from the inside is called the rectum. Okay, rectum. So identify all those. Ascending, transverse, descending would mean to rectum.
Ascending,
Try to lay it
transverse,
out how it would sit
descending,
in the body.
rectum. Ascending, transverse, descending. So it goes so like this. And then rectum.
I know.
It's kind of
No. So the sigmoid bone, if you're curious, is just the part where it goes from the left side and then goes over S. It makes an S shape, so it's called sigmoid. I'm not going to pin that though, right? Because the student's using a cat mix up with rectum. If sigmoid colon is in your Bible, you can cross it out. I'm not sure if it is or not. Right, the actual end portion, which would have to be pinned from the outside, and I'm not going to pin it because I'm not sticking a pin up a dead cat's butt, is the anus, of course. Okay, and that's it for the digestive tract.